What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with NIO, Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm also going to break down what's happening with the economic calendar thus far and some very important information involving NIO's earnings coming out for next week. So I want to break down how this could affect NIO, what you should be watching for, and what the expected moves are, and how things are looking in my honest opinion. But before I break things down all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull and deposit $500 into the account, you are guaranteed 20 free stocks. If you put in $25,000 or more, you're guaranteed 75 free stocks. And this offer ends very, very soon. It ends today. So anyways, now let's break down what's happening to NIO. NIO got this little pop today. It actually pushed up very nicely, hitting this resistance around this 5.84 area. Then we got this little rejection coming back down towards the 50 EMA, but overall it's still holding up quite nicely. Look at the trend, it's been making higher highs and higher lows, getting a bullish break from this bullish wedge, and we're continuing to uptrend very, very nicely. Now, with this happening, we have a double bottom formation. And if we do end up breaking this resistance close to this like 5.9 area, we're going to be looking for another push all the way up towards 6.1. So overall, NIO is looking pretty good, and there is potential for this to push even higher. But the question is NIO going to get the push? Is the technical setup going to play out? And can NIO get a big bounce? I'll be giving you guys some answers about that. So for next week, we have some minor data coming out for Monday. Tuesday, we just have some ISM data, manufacturing data, very, very small things. And then for Wednesdays, like we have importance job numbers. So all the data is kind of minor for the first couple of days of March. But then for NIO, we have something very big coming out. Now, Monday, we have C's earnings, we have GitLab, and just a couple of others. But one of the most important ones is going to be NIO, at least for Tuesday. Tuesday before the market opens, we have NIO and Target and just a couple of others. After the market closes, we have CrowdStrike, ChargePoint, and Ross announcing earnings, and more retail ones, especially as the weeks go on, such as Costco and Big Lots, not to mention more for the end of the week. But that's what we're seeing for earnings thus far. NIOs is very important. The reason why NIOs is so important is because it's going to be before the market opens, and it's going to have a big effect on the share price. So I'll be watching to see what this causes. Now, looking at NIO, they're telling us about their suspension equipped in the NIO ET9, which is actually very, very good for body adjustments and giving it 6 degrees of freedom, which allow it to essentially shake off snow as if it's like a dog. I've heard like a lot of explanations like that. And that's something that's very, very cool about it. So that's actually very, very great for them. That's going to be very, very interesting to witness. Now, when it comes to their quarterly deliveries, as you guys can see, there's been a slight decline in Q4, but that's okay because it's still on a very, very nice uptrend. I'm hoping that this continues to grow as time goes on. One thing worth noting for NIO is we need to see better margins. We want to see a lot of improvements for them to cut costs. And we're going to be watching to see what their guidance looks like going into the end of this year. So if we get some good guidance, it's very possible for NIO to continue pushing. It's very, very possible for this thing to continue to grow very nicely. And guidance is going to be key for their earnings. I'll be talking more about this on Monday. Volume was about 41 million, which is not bad whatsoever. And other analysts are just giving NIO just kind of like underweight ratings, not really saying too much about it. Looking at the price price ratio, it's kind of like starting to bounce a little bit because NIO has gained some strength, but nothing else is too insane that's going on. So usually what happens before these earnings is we tend to see some upside for a lot of stocks, and I'm hoping that NIO follows the trend. We could see some downside on SPY, however, so that might be a little negative, but on the chart, I could see this thing still trying to break out. So the chart is still bullish in terms of the pattern. There's a very good chance that NIO is going to try to break out of this, and we'll see if it could end up getting a move like that. But overall, NIO being up 0.52% is not bad whatsoever, and there is potential for this to push even higher. As we're retesting the 50 EMA, we're going to be looking for a big bounce and a nice push up towards this area. So that being said, the technicals do favor NIO trying to hold above the 50 EMA. As long as we hold this, I'm going to be looking for a bounce and a push towards 6.2. We could see something like that, but in order for this to play out, we have to see some good earnings. We have to see something very positive for the stock. Now, the stock's already been dropping. If you look at the chart on the 4-hour time frame, I just zoom out and out and out. It was dropping for many, many months, especially as we approach February. It was basically just trading sideways in February. So I'm going to be hoping for a little rebound. I hope we get to see this thing test the 200 EMA. I would love to see NIO do something like that. That's going to be very awesome to witness. And I hope for the best for NIO nonetheless. So let's hope that NIO does well for earnings. Let's hope we get a nice bounce. Let's hope we see a breakout. Let's hope that NIO does some good stuff in terms of price action. We get some good earnings. That's going to be key for NIO, and that's why next week is going to be very big. Earnings could also determine how well NIO is relative to the market for like many weeks to come. That's why earnings are not just about one day in particular, but they could actually affect NIO for many, many weeks, and that's why it's very important to watch them. So that being said, that's what I'm seeing for NIO. How are things looking for SPY? SPY has been pushing very nicely, very, very nice break today. It's pushed so hard that I think that it might actually get a little retracement right here. We could be looking for a retest of around 508.3 to 5. That's very close to some balance. I think 510 is going to be retested, if not 508. Then we could bounce off that and continue higher. But look for a little retracement. That could even slow things down a bit for NIO. But don't worry too much about that. I still think NIO is going to hold up nicely. The technicals are improving. So I hope for that to pan out. For Tesla, now as far as Tesla goes, I do want to call out that this thing did reject 1, 2, 3, 4 times off this 205 area. And we haven't been able to break above this. If we do break the 4-hour 200 EMA or break 205, there's going to be potential for this to push towards 210 or higher. If we get a rejection and we lose 198 or the 50 EMA, a bigger drop is coming to this imbalance all the way down towards 191. So I do think that the market might come down a little bit. So we could see a little retracement on Tesla on Monday, but we'll see how well it holds its support. Right now, this is not super bullish or super bearish. We're just very stationary, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth price action. So we just have to wait and see. We have to be very patient for the time being and see how this ends up going. For super micro, which I know a lot of people are into, this is showing a lot of strength right now. Watch and see how well it holds this 900 area. It might retrace a little bit back down to either 880 or 868 and then try to bounce. So I do anticipate something like that to happen before it continues higher. For the QQQ, this thing pumped very nicely, but we ended up hitting this resistance at 446. We could see a backtest of this breakout area, so it could actually backtest 443.5 or even 440, and then bounce off that. So look for a little retracement before this thing continues. It's still very, very bullish looking, got a very, very nice bounce. And I think it might retrace temporarily, and then we'll see if we base very soon. For Nvidia is still on a very, very strong uptrend, testing the all-time high, but just be a little bit careful because the last time we hit this resistance, we did see Nvidia reject. It's still showing some strength, so it could still outperform the market, push higher towards like 832, get close to 840. It's still possible, but just be careful because with the market potentially rejecting, this could slow Nvidia down to some extent. So I'll be watching that very, very carefully. For Microsoft, we have a nice inverse head and shoulders like structure. So you guys can see it right over here. We have this left shoulder here. We have the head, and then we have the right shoulder. If we do break out higher, we could be approaching this like 420 resistance, but we have to try to break above 415 and hold it. So we're currently at 415 exactly. So we'll see how well it holds at this level. And can we continue higher? I do think the chart looks bullish, so I do favor that, but we'll have to watch just to be safe. And then finally, we have the one and only Aapl stock. Aapl, in my opinion, is not looking that great. We actually closed below 180, but now we have this range 178 to 180 as critical support. It might just trade sideways here for some time, and then we'll see how Aapl does. There is this liquidity grab right here, so what generally happens when this happens is we try to rebound a little bit. So I'm going to be looking to see if some buyers defend it and try to get it back to 180, then a rejection, and a lot of sideways price action between 170 and 180. With that being said, guys, that is it for this video. I might not post tomorrow, but I'll be back on Sunday. So I'll see you guys on Sunday. Please have a great day. Remain calm, cool, and collected. Enjoy the weekend. NIO in the market to the moon because the long term is very bright. And peace out.